right? So I'm up there for a couple hours a day. And then I put people on like, hey man, I'm gonna be up there for a couple hours a day, man. That's what I do. Or we found, I'm looking around the neighborhood. There's beer cans and soda cans. I mean, just garbage everywhere in the neighborhood, right? It's how we lived. It's what it was. And so I was like, hey fellas, man, why don't we get one of these baskets like the homeless do, and go around the neighborhood and just pick up cans early in the morning on a Saturday, and then we can hit up the pool, right? Like, oh, dude. And so it'd be me and a bunch of the boys around the hood, man. We just walk around and pick up cans around the neighborhood and then take it to the aluminum facility, right? And, man, we hit a lick, dude. That's what we called it, a lick, right? So that's what we did. I mean, we just always hustling, right? And so I just remember one day we had this Methodist church come around, trying to save some ghetto kids, right? And man, they were like, hey, we're gonna baptize y'all. And I was like, oh, sweet, baptism, okay, I'm down. So I'm running around the neighborhood. First I run into the house. I'm like, hey mom, some white people I know. You always had to say white people. I'm sorry if I'm offending any of you, my lovely white friends. I love you. But this is from the perspective of what we're dealing with. Some white people came up. They're going to take us to church and give us, they're going to baptize us. My mom's like, boy, yeah, whatever. Sure, whatever. So I ran around the neighborhood, gathering up all my friends who'd come, right? I don't know how many people I gathered up, but I loaded up the bus, right? We got on the bus. They took us across town to their church. They did their baptism thing. They taught us a little bit, baptized us, put us back on the bus, carried us back. Oh, man. And I felt so good when I was coming off that. I was like, yeah, I'm baptized. I got it. But then they just dropped us off. That was it. I never saw those people again. Right? I guess that's what they thought. That's how you save souls, right? You just baptize them and move on. Man, never saw them again. Right? And, life went on, and we moved out of Bethel Heights. We got a little, we moved a lot, actually. After we moved out of Bethel Heights, I'll tell you, man, we moved probably every single year. I went to 3 elementary schools, 3 middle schools. I went to 2 high schools. It would have been 3 had I not just dropped out, though. So, we moved a lot. People were like, hey, were you in the military? Nope, we just was very adventurous. We moved all over that city, right? Everywhere, all over St. Pete. So, yeah, that's just what we did. But I remember at 12, actually, about 11, Mom met Guy and Ray. And they ended up getting married about when I was 13 or so. But at 12 or 13 or so, we got into, this heated argument, right? Again, I guess I was just trying to figure out, dealing with these issues of abandonment and having to be almost a man also at the same time. Because of the pressures that I had upon me. Mom was working. I had to take care of the kids, It was just one of those things. So when a man did come around, it was like, dude, get up out of here. Or, there was guys around and I just didn't like them because, they didn't treat Mom very right. Mom made some bad choices with me. Sorry, Mom, you did. I love you, but jeez. Love you. But it was just some crazy things going on. But she finally met a pretty good dude. But we just, he had his issues too, right? And I had mine. It's coming from some place that wasn't too bright also as a young man. But one day him and I would get into an argument about dishes, right? You guys have always fought about dishes. He and my uncle, right? Him and my uncle and some friends are hanging out at the house. Mom is at work in my mind, right? Mom's at work busting her hump while you hanging out at the house partying with your boys, and then you gonna tell me to do the dishes? Man, you crazy. No, dude, you do your own dishes. That was way disrespectful. I know, but, I was a man, so I checked him. And he didn't like it. And I just told him, like, look, dude, I get that. Like, if you're telling me that you want me to wash my dishes, I will, right? But, yeah, it got heated. And my uncle got involved and, pushing and shoving and ripped shirts and scratches, right? And I just ran to grandma's house, man. I wasn't dealing with that. And, obviously I'm coming in with all these brute scratches and crap. It was a big deal. And we just decided that I would stay with grandma for a while, and, we calmed down as a family, right? That was probably just the best. And, I come and visit and come over every now and then and on the weekends, and, but for the meantime, I'll just stay with grandma, right? So that's what we did. And I lived with grandma for a while, and I had a lot of time during that time to be by myself, right? I love that time though. Me and grandma, right? And then grandma went to work, and I went to school, and her and I had plenty of time to be together. And during the summer when she was at work, I had a lot of time to think. And I had this experience that at the time I didn't really know how to take it, and for a little bit of time I thought maybe it wasn't a very good experience. And then now I've had chances to relive and think through that again. And man, let me just explain, I guess. About, I don't know, 13, I must have been, again, about that time. I one day all of a sudden noticing that I am speaking to a voice that is in my head. And immediately when I recognize, I'm like, am I crazy now? Right? Because isn't that what they say? When you're talking to yourself, you're crazy, right? So I was wondering, wait, I'm talking to myself. I heard this voice, people, all the time I don't know, it must have lasted for about a year or so, maybe a year. But it would tell me that, just for instance, like, because I was trying to, I'm always this thoughtful kid about Jesus, trying to be, a thoughtful Christian, but didn't really know much. But I'd be listening to, televangelists and things, and I would be like, man, I just don't live like that. And maybe I'm just a terrible person. And this voice would come in and just say things like, Marlo, you're a good person. It's Jesus doesn't believe the way these teachers are teaching you. Like, I hear stuff like that, and how am I supposed to take that? I'm like, no, everybody else's beliefs. Like, these churches around here aren't. They don't believe in Jesus the way they ought to. I would hear stuff like that. And I was like, man, this thing is trying to take me away from. Like, I used to think that maybe this voice wasn't a good voice because it's trying to take me away. But then it would tell me things like, no, this is the way Christ, this is the way Jesus thinks. He's not judgmental like that. He's loving and kind. And or I would do something, that I thought was not cool, or, I was a thoughtful individual. When I treated people bad, I thought bad. He's like, no, Marl, you're a good person. And you shouldn't feel the way you do. You need to think more positively about yourself, and just always there to lift me up. It was crazy. This was often. And I knew I wasn't crazy when the last time I heard it. This is how the conversation went, people. Again, I'm letting you in on some crazy stuff, right? But it was like, hey, Marlo, I have to leave. And I was so accustomed to this voice in my conscience, whatever, my head, that I was like, wait, oh, where are you going? Why are you leaving? It's like, I think we're good. I have completed my work with you. I have to go and be with other people, right? I have other people to help. So this is the last time you'll, hear from me. And I was sad, right? I was like, whatever. That sucks. Okay, I get it. You got to go help other people. Well, thank you, And that was it, right? Never, ever again did I have that ongoing, conversation with this, whatever it was that was protecting me, teaching me to not believe in certain things, not to think along certain paths. I don't know. It was just a interesting experience, and it stopped. So I knew that I wasn't crazy because it stopped. And I knew it must have been real because it never happened again, right? I don't know. It was interesting. That was my life. But, I remember as a 13-year-old actually. Yeah, it must have been 13 or 14, where I was over. My mom had moved closer to grandma and nearer in the neighborhood. So I was just over that house, over there, over at the house across the street from a park. And, just playing cops and robbers with my little brothers outside. We're just running around the house, fooling around. And all of a sudden, this van pulls up and just slows down and just starts shooting. right? And the people at the park who were being shot at, they start shooting back at the van, and this is just a shootout, right? And my brother, my little brother, the one that's right as young as me, fella, man, we're out on one side of the house trying to get to the back door, and he's trying to run to the back door, and I just grab him and throw him to the ground. I'm like, dude, we can't run. We got an army crawl. So we're like army crawling, right? Trying to get into our house. With my little brother, right? Just trying to deal with, trying to be safe. And once the shooting's over and the van pulls off, we're in the house and we're ducking inside the house. There's bullet holes in our home, and we hear someone outside screaming, "Help me! Help me! I've been shot! Please help me! I'm dying!" Yeah, so he died there. That was actually Winky Wright, from what I understand. He was over there, the boxer, world champion boxer. He was over there with his uncle. His uncle was picking him up to go and to go to a basketball game, but he didn't make it. Right? And I was a 12-year-old, 13-year-old with my little brother trying to get into the back door of our house, army crawling. Right? But we moved to Georgia, actually shortly after that. I was still living with grandma during this time. It was crazy, right? That whole experience. Went back home, grandma, going through that, and she's like, man, this neighborhood, this world is just, yeah, crazy stuff, right? But as in school, I escaped that neighborhood at school, right? I hung out with white kids, man, at school. It was just trying to escape the craziness of my life. And maybe this is, I guess I should bounce back. This is the South. Florida's the South, people. So we were integrated. So I would be bused to a school about 40 miles away. I went to Morganville. Excuse me, not Morganville. Man, what is the name of that super school? Yeah, Morganville. I think that's the name of it. That's the name of it. Yeah, Morganville. Um, Whatever. I went to a school that was 40 minutes away. We have to get on the interstate, right? Bus me about 30 minutes away to get to school, 30, 40 minutes away to get to school to be integrated, right? And then they bus kids from that neighborhood all the way down to our schools, 40 minutes away to be integrated. It was a crazy society we lived in. And it was just life because I didn't know any better until I came out west. Like, oh, there's no real issues like that because there aren't any different cultures, right? It's pretty vanilla out west, folks. But yeah, so that was kind of life. I escaped it, man. I sold candy at school. I was the candy man, I was hustling. I always hustled. I tried to always stay hustled up, right? And then in that summer of between my freshman year of high school and middle school, I had a summer job. They taught us how to write resumes. It was a program that actually I think the state put on. They taught me how to write a resume, how to interview. Man, they teach me how to memorize my social security number. So in high school, I knew what my social security number was when I was a freshman in high school because between middle and high school, I was in a class learning how to be a man, right? Man, I was so blessed with that. That was cool, and they paid me to be there, so I was fly for my freshman year of high school because I bought all my clothes, right? It was nice. That was cool. That was a bump up, especially going and moving to Georgia. That was culture shock for us all. Mom, stepdad, moving back to his little small hometown, and man, that was a interesting move for us. We only stayed there for a year, but that year was a crazy year, full of tragedies and experiences on my end. This is where, and I have another episode where I talk a little bit more about this gang that I joined, and my